What is going on, guys? This is going to be a new little addition. This is my favorite, well, my favorite and a little bit of bias. My favorite showdown slate here for our noon games, mostly because it has my Minnesota Vikings in it. We are going to break down this segment, just the game in general, and then you can also use it. I'm going to talk showdown pricing, but I think you can definitely apply it to any of your classic slates and just how you're going to attack this game. I really like this spot for the Vikes. Not just because I'm a homer, but because they are a 10-point favorite against the Jaguars. So again, if you have not subscribed to this channel, do that below. Hit the like button. It's greatly appreciated. So let's get into the Vikings slate. Vikings, Jaguars. The Vikings are a 10-point favorite here. I don't think they cover the 10-point line, honestly. If you're looking for some sort of spread bet, I don't think they cover the line. They are going to be healthy, but the Vikings are a really good team at underperforming when they're this big of a favorite, and also letting teams back into the game. We saw that in Dallas. Like, they should have not lost that game, but whatever. All right. And then against Carolina, win by a point, whatever. Play plus 10 Jacksonville if you want a line. But let's get into the slate. That doesn't mean, though, from a DFS perspective, and you're going to see here, I still love all the Vikes. Obviously the Jags D is awful. Dalvin Cook. Let's start with Minnesota. 12,200 on Showdown. You are for sure playing him. Alexander Madison is going to be out. So, sometimes Madison just spells a little bit more often just because he's more capable. Now it's going to be Amir Abdullah and Mike Boone in the backfield. Boone is definitely viable, and I think he's going to get any touches on first and second down that Cook wouldn't be in, but I think we're just going to see a ton of Cook. I don't even think he's on the injury report this week. Practice fully, doesn't have an injury report. This is a smash spot for him. So get Dalvin Cook in your lineups. I don't care if he's in your captain or not. Likely not using him in my captain here. I think he's fine, but and this is where it gets interesting. So last week in Classic, Jefferson was really popular, and obviously because Thielen was out. My favorite thing, if you haven't seen it yet, go to his Twitter page when he has a live look of the Vikings winning. With that catch by, I think it was Chad Beebe at the end of the game. So Thielen and Jefferson, both great here. Like, I love them both, but it's going to be hard to play all three of them. And I think when you have both of them back, picking between one or the other and not playing Cousins is, you can either do two things here. I think you can play Thielen and Jefferson, or you play Cousins plus one of them. So say I put Cousins at captain, which is okay. I think I like Cousins for cash here. I think there's some volatility that if Cook steals all the touchdowns, then you're left hanging here with Cousins at captain. It's not as great. Jefferson obviously has been amazing. You can't really get all three of these. We'd have to look at some of the value for Jacksonville, but you could go full on stack like that, or go cheaper at captain and then attack all the pieces. But Thielen, like these two monster games he's had, had the, 2 touchdown games in a row. He's been pretty average besides a couple games. Now, I am a hometown Thielen fan. He played at MSU, where I'm from, or where I went to school as well. But I do think that, Jefferson has provided just that spark, and they're intentionally trying to get him the ball even more. 13 targets, obviously, Thielen. But 10, and you just watch his route running lately, it's just phenomenal. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just following the hype, but in a vacuum, I guess I'm going Jefferson over Thielen. But I love them both. Rudolph, fade. Way too expensive for me. Even with Irv Smith Jr. out, 6,200 is a fade for me. Another fade for me here is these secondary receivers like BC Johnson and Chad Beebe, because we are going to see the return of Thielen, which reduces their roles. Dan Bailey, great play. 3,400 is super cheap for a kicker that is a 10-point favorite. So probably the best value on the slate would be Dan Bailey. All right, let's get over to the Jacksonville side. The teams like this, where now everybody is playing and healthy, but they're overpriced because they were priced how other guys were out, are harder to deal with. Okay, so the one lone best player on the team all year for them has been James Robinson. And this is a matchup that they can continue to go to him. So I think, thinking back to playing one of the Vikings receivers, I think you can certainly make a case to just play James Robinson and fade both Vikings receivers and just play Cousins. So then you're covering whoever scores between Thielen and Jefferson. You're not getting the correlation, but then you're also still able to play James Robinson. So just some builds to think about, like how you want to cover your exposure on the likelihood of touchdowns happening. So it looks like Minshew is going to continue to be out against the Vikings, and he'll be the backup to Glennon. So obviously don't play him, even though he doesn't have an injury tag. Glennon is really cheap at quarterback at 9,000. He looked okay last week. Again, I just think playing him at 9,000, you're either giving up Robinson or one of the Vikings receivers. So probably not playing him, but I get it in cash because he's, 18 points. That's a pretty good game. That, you're asking for a touchdown from one of those receivers. So maybe I should say I'd rather just go to Robinson than Glennon, but they should be losing. So I think that makes him in play. DJ Chark, fine, a little bit too expensive for me. Keelan Cole Sr., overpriced to me, fade. Chanel, I think his name is Junior. Can't pronounce his name that well. Sweet hair, fade. 4,200, I guess, maybe. I guess it's cheap enough. I didn't really consider the price being that cheap. I don't know who's kicking for them. Not Rosas. He's been reverted back to the practice squad. So looks like Chase McCaughlin will be their kicker. So he's pretty cheap, 3,200. I'd take him as a kicker any day. Colin Johnson. Now, I don't know why. Okay, Chark and Conley were inactive, but he did have a huge game. So I don't know. I think, yeah, like it says, it seems likely he's going to gain, a larger opportunity after this breakout performance. 2,000 is fine. I was hoping he'd actually be a little bit cheaper. But I think in a game where we need some value, he might be the one that you would be able to find some value with. So overall, the slate, is not super crystal clear in terms of, because I think you're playing Cook. I think like I'm likely playing Cousins, and then I probably either have to pick between the three or choose a cheaper one at captain. So like if I go Robinson at captain, which is unlikely because I don't want to play the dog at captain. So let's go Jefferson at captain just because he's the cheapest here. And what if I want to play all four of these guys? I can't really, like I even 1,600, I can't even get two guys that'll likely even play it. If I go to Abdullah, I guess Conley here, if he plays, I think we definitely consider him. He might be the best value if he plays. So yes, it looks like all the other receivers are back, but I think he's just getting enough targets. So he could be definitely in play. If he's in and you run a build like this and you get Chris Conley, 2,400 gets you back up to Johnson. So hypothetically, if you went down from Cousins to Thielen, no, that still doesn't get you there. So let's just do this hypothetical because I really do like Dan Bailey. I don't love using kickers in the captain spot. So I think it does really limit your upside. But in this case, now if I want Jefferson, I still can't, Jaguars D, it still doesn't give me that much. It gives me all four that I want here plus Dan Bailey. But yeah, so this will be interesting. I think you honestly, I hate to say you can make a case to fade Cook because you really shouldn't. But you could honestly fit in the entire passing game. Say we go Cousins at captain. Just still doesn't comfortably get you like Bailey plus a punt, unless Conley's in. So overall, hopefully this video gave you who I want to target. Obviously, I think my favorite three cash plays are Cook, Cousins, and probably Robinson. I do love both Vikings receivers too. Probably one of the best duos in the league. At least maybe that's a bias, but love Dan Bailey is my favorite value. Potentially now Chris Conley, as I just looking into that as I was building. Probably just fading the receivers, the expensive receivers for Jacksonville. And probably, I don't know. You can make a case for Glennon, sure. I think he can get 10 to 15. Just don't think he really has much upside. So hopefully you can use this information for Classic or Showdown. Be on the lookout for more game previews this week. So thanks for checking us out at Fantasy Sports Insight. The Sunday night showdown is posted, so you can check out that as well. We appreciate the support.